Welcome back. This time to our second installment of the Throwback here on YouTube.com and as well on all the podcasting platforms where you will usually listen to around the point. Whether that's Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, or Anchor, or more importantly over at okfave.com. Thank you all again for watching, for listening. And as always, I am not alone. Of course, you guys know me already. It's me. It's Steve. Back at it again. And I'm not alone here. I'm here joined by, as always, here joining me for this. It's the Trey versus Everybody, the man with the golden charm, Big Mike from Big Mike Wrestling Recap Show. Big Mike, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right, Steve, and I can't wait to talk some more WCW.
Yeah, man. The first one was good. We got a lot of good feedback from it. From like OK Fade. Andre Corbeil from Wrestling with Wrestling, and all you guys out there that listen and watch, thank you all again as always. That was our Spring Stampede. That was our Starrcade 97 review, and this time we are sticking with WCW. We are going now 2 years into the future from that time period into 1999 Spring Stampede, as you can see there. But before we get into Spring Stampede 99, I want to let you guys know that next week we will be doing a WWE Pay Per View. We're going to go to 2002 and SummerSlam. So again, be on the lookout when that drops next week. But this week we're going to go back to WCW Spring Stampede 1999. Mike, I'm excited about this one. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
I hope you guys are as well, tuning in at home and all that fun stuff. So Spring Stampede 1999, man, went down on April 11th, 1999 from the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington. It was a sold-out show of 17,690, pay-per-view buys of 220,000. It had a paid gate of 16,799 and a live gate, so basically 16,799 that paid, if you will, and a live gate of 582,230. Not bad at all. This was considered by a lot of people the last good WCW pay-per-view before the whole company went to shit. Big Mike, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, my perception of this is going to be a little different. But
that's fair.
We'll get into that shortly.
Again, that's fair. To me, honestly, I thought the show, and again, in 1999, I was 8 years old. I was 8. So, I was 8. My bad. I was 9 years old. I was going to be 9 at the time, right? So, for me, this show was just like, okay, if I'm watching it now after all these years, I thought overall, okay, it was a solid show. For me, it was solid. The big thing about this show, of course, was Diamond Dallas Page winning the World Championship for the very first time in his career. You go back to his Hall of Fame speech, right? He talked about how he had like a 5-year plan, and he did it in 3. So there you go. This is where he got it done, and all that stuff, Mike. So if you guys watched the show, if you guys watched Spring Stampede, what was your memories of the show? Let us know in the comments. Let us know on Twitter at HeelSteven. Big Mike, let them know where they can check you out, bro.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Big Mike WRS on Twitter.
That's right. Big Mike at Big Mike WRS on Twitter. So, this card had 9 matches, by the way. 9 matches. And I'll say this, the venue itself looked big. It looked like a giant venue. Apparently, this venue could also be like a stadium, not just an arena, if you will. So that was good. Again, WCW, when you notice back in the day, they would run the big stadiums. Back in the day, they would. They used to run the big stadiums for even like Nitro and shit like that. Even like the filler pay-per-views. Like remember Nitro when Goldberg won the title. They sold out the Georgia Dome.
Yeah, it was in the it was at the Georgia Dome. Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Where WrestleMania 27 took place.
Right.
I could be wrong on that one. But you kind of get the idea, if you will. So we go through this card, 9 matches. a lot of mixed bag of a card, if you ask me. There's some matches that I thought, honestly, why was it on the show? Other matches that I felt like, okay. And some that I did enjoy. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's you get a mixed bag of matches. Yeah, I think it's a lot for anybody who liked wrestling back in the '90s. You got a mixed bag of match types, um, title matches. Yeah, and there were a few matches on here that was like, but yeah, it was a mixed bag.
So let's kick things off here, guys. Again, thank you all again for listening, all that fun stuff. We had the first match on the show. We had Juventud Guerrera versus Blitzkrieg. Cruiserweight action. The winner of this match would go on to meet the winner of Rey Mysterio Jr. or Billy Kidman for the Cruiserweight Championship the following Monday on Nitro. And I thought overall this match, first of all, what the fuck was the Blitzkrieg? That's what I wanted to know. Out of all the names you gave a wrestler, apparently is Jeremiah J. Ross, who is a former wrestler now, but he used to go by the name of Blitzkrieg, known as Jeremiah J. Ross. That was the guy who played, apparently, the fabulous Blitzkrieg, by the way, for his time in WCW. And for the match, for what it was, I thought, honestly, it was a good way to kick off the show. And again, if you noticed, WCW, even like when we go back to our Starrcade review from '97, they kicked things off with the Cruiserweights, and that was the thing that was still happening here 2 years later, if you think about it. And again, there's a good back and forth. They made it noted on commentary that Blitzkrieg has been doing this for a very short time, but he's hanging in there. He's holding on to his own against someone like a Juventud Guerrera.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. They were placing Juventud as the veteran and Blitzkrieg as the rookie. And later in the match, you could see Juventud's frustrations, as Tony Schiavone said it on Twitter. Not Twitter, on commentary.
You imagine?
You can see his
You imagine, dude, like in '99, if they had Twitter. The shit
dude, it would be so much trouble.
Oh my god, this is the shit.
So much trouble, bro.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, on commentary, he said it on commentary, and you can see his frustrations too when he finally put Blitzkrieg away.
Yeah, and again, a lot of good near falls here. It gave you the belief that Blitzkrieg had a fighting chance, right. And that's what I like too. That's what I did like as well. Sometimes, for whatever reason, I'm a fan of that. The match went about 11 minutes and 11 seconds, with Juventud Guerrera finally getting the win after hitting his finisher off the top turnbuckle to secure the win, and he would go on to meet the winner of Rey Mysterio Jr. or Billy Kidman for the Cruiserweight title the following Monday on Nitro. The match, like I said, went about 11 minutes and 11 seconds. So again, a good way to kick off the show.
Right.
Like I did say, Mike, early on in this whole review, this match was just a mixed bag of everything. And boy, we were not kidding with this match right here. This match that we're about to talk about right now was a definition of just one of the mixed bags. We had Bam Bam Bigelow, the Beast from the East, Jersey native, that's right, versus Hack in a hardcore match. For those of you who don't know, Hack was obviously the Sandman, okay? But he went by Hack in WCW. Why is beyond me. I have no clue why he would go as Hack. That being said, this match, listen, if you would have asked me when I was a kid my thoughts on this match, because again, I really didn't see that much hardcore stuff, and I saw this then, I'm like, oh, this is cool, this is awesome. They're using weapons, they're using tables, they're using the steel barricade, if you will, underneath the ring. They used a ladder. The Sandman went through a table, did a flip in the air, this and whatnot. And I knew who Bam Bam was when I was a kid, right? I would have told you again, this match was awesome. This match was great. You ask me now, this was a clusterfuck. of a match.
Right.
A complete clusterfuck. And the fact that this went 11 minutes and 30.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was just it was all over the place from the entrance ramp to the ring,
Oh,
and I
dude,
believe
the entrance ramp alone was like out of the Wild West, out of the farm, if
yeah
you will.
yeah no
Which again, cool. I mean, when I think of Spring Stampede, I would think of like, okay, a big place for the spring. You know what I mean? Not a place like Tacoma, Washington. Nothing against Tacoma. Those of you that live out there, nothing against it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying,
right
if you will.
yeah, but from the entrance ramp to the ring with this match, it was just all over the place, and then they got all the weapons in the ring, and I believe her name Chastity. That's her name,
Yeah,
right?
Chastity, yes.
Chastity. She brought in a fire extinguisher, like a big fire extinguisher, and it wouldn't even work.
It didn't
She
work.
couldn't get it work. Yeah.
Again, one of those things where just, again, it's literally everywhere. They use a fucking salad bowl as a weapon as well in this match.
This match is crazy.
It ends when Bam Bam hits the greeting from Asbury Park from the top rope on the Sandman to secure the victory. So there was that. I feel like the right person went over. You notice too, like again at the time, WCW was trying to grab all the ECW guys just to
Right.
job them out.
Right.
Which, speaking of which, brings us to our next match. Scotty Riggs versus Mikey Whipwreck. Now, we all know who Mikey Whipwreck is from WCW. He is literally one of the guys that was there in the beginning days of ECW. Won a tag team title, I remember, with Mick Foley. He had a match with Steve Austin where he beat Steve Austin before he became the Rattlesnake and all that shit. Um, and he went to WCW. Went to WCW, um, which again I just never really thought of why would he go and just to job out. There's a moment in this match where Whipwreck's on the apron, and I guess Scotty pushes him off the apron, and he falls like he lands on his neck, like head first, if you will, onto the guardrail. Which back then is not what you see in WWE, if you will. Back then it was the metal thing with the bars, if you will.
hmm
So when he hit his head, that shit looked like it sucked.
Yeah, I bet it did.
That shit looked like it sucked. But honestly, when I look back at this match, I feel like it's something that I would have not put on pay per view. I get it. Scotty Riggs at the time was someone that they're trying to push, if you will. I would have said this for our Nitro or how even a Thunder at best. This is not
Right.
something I would have put on pay per view. This match went about 7 minutes and 3 seconds, where Scotty Riggs eventually got the fucking win. But like I said before, a lot of these ECW guys that they brought in were just brought in to job out to the WCW guys. From there, we go on to the next match. We go on to Conan, K-Dog, if you will, versus the Disco Inferno. This was a match between the fact, and you know what's funny about this match too? It totally slipped my mind that Disco Inferno was part of the Wolfpack.
Yeah, it was a lot of unnecessary people in both NWO factions.
Exactly. I think at this time, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I think at this point, the finger poke of doom already happened.
Yeah, a lot of things already happened by this time.
Yeah, the finger poke of doom. That'll put a lot of ass. That's gonna put butts in the seats. Right? Tony Schiavone probably spoiled already the result of Raw when Flair won the
Right.
title. So there was already that. This was a match, but again, hey, Conan was at one time was part of the Wolfpack. At one time.
Right.
In case you've
Right.
forgotten. In case, yeah, he was part of the Wolfpack. Um but again, it is at the time I think about this too, he his rap music, right, was becoming mainstream in the late 90s, right? And Conan uh was taking full advantage of it. I think leading up to this match, Conan was supposed to debut a music video or some sort, and Disco Inferno just entered the whole thing. The match, honestly, nothing to go crazy about, nothing to go back. I always say, oh, I gotta watch this match. No. That being said, Conan got the win after he hit Disco's finisher on him. His own, which is basically a stunner. You think about it, right? To win the match. And it's crazy to think that these two guys had a feud, and to think years later, both Conan and Disco will be part of a podcast. Conan hosts his own podcast, Keeping It 100 with Conan, where Disco Inferno makes appearances every single episode. And they're very good friends, so that's very cool to see, if you will.
Yeah.
From there, we go on to. But anything you want to add on before we wrap up, Mike, on this?
No.
Okay. That bad, huh?
Yeah, it sounds that bad. Yeah.
Okay. From there, we go on to for the Cruiserweight Championship match. Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Billy Kidman. Yes, Billy Kidman at one time, was a Cruiserweight, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think a lot of people only know the Fat Billy Kidman.
Yeah. And he went up against Rey Mysterio Jr. This is Rey Mysterio without the mask, by the way, Mike. This is Rey without the mask. No. And I gotta say, this is one of those matches where I really did enjoy. I thought it was very good for what they did. They went out there. It went about 15 minutes and 32 seconds, by the way.
All right.
They gave these guys time, which I think was awesome to see. Because, again, this is for your title. You know what I mean? At a time, when you think about it, right? WWE, when they have the Cruiserweights, back then where they were having them on the pay-per-views and shit like that, it wasn't relegated to a kickoff show, right? They didn't rush them in the ring. This was actually given fucking time, which I commend WCW for. And one little fact too, Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman were also the WCW Tag Team Champions going into this match.
Right, which was weird.
Yes, and they're gonna go at it. They put their stuff aside for the title, if you will. If you're Billy Kidman, he was the former champion. Lost to Rey Mysterio, and he wants his belt back. And again, just the stuff they did was just fucking amazing. It's crazy, just back and forth. To think Mysterio back then without a mask.
Yeah, weird. Very cultural shocking.
Cultural shocking, weird. I guess if I was a kid, that's badass. He took off the mask. Look at him. Took off the mask. Good on him. Granted, I don't think it would fly today, if you will. To think that was a young Rey Mysterio. To think that he's still wrestling almost fucking 11 years later. So it seems. Not even. 20-something years later, he's still going at it.
Yeah, and doing the exact same things that he was doing in this match and matches today.
He looks like now he's in the best shape of his life, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's still at it, bro. He's still doing his thing. So that's good on him, bro. That's good on him. The match itself, at the end, Mysterio did end up getting the win. He did pin Billy Kidman, and he retained the Cruiserweight Championship. So that meant that Rey Mysterio on Nitro would have gone on to face Juventud Guerrero for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Anything you want to say about before we go on to the next match, Big Mike? Anything you want to say?
One little thing I want to say. I noticed in this match, like when Billy Kidman would go for a shooting star press, that shooting star press must have been super over because the whole arena stood up when he got on the turnbuckle.
Yeah, I think one thing too, like the suspense of it, which was unique. They would make you wait for it, if you will, right? I think also at the time, the moonsault was a crazy move. Think about that for a second. Right. Back in those days, right? The fucking moonsault was amazing. Holy shit. Can you imagine? Okay, here's a guy who's standing, and then in mid, he's looking at his opponent, right? Who's laying on his back. He is looking at his opponent, and he jumps, and he does a fucking flip. Not like a moonsault, if you will, right? But he does the opposite in midair.
Right.
Which was unique. It's like if Ali, right? Or Mustafa Ali were to do the 054 now, though back then. Holy shit, that move would have been over as shit. Back then.
Yeah, it would.
It would. Or imagine, right, if Mysterio and Hoovy did a Spanish Fly back then in those days. Stuff like that, you know what I
Right.
mean? One thing I'll say too, my only criticism of this whole show as well, in a way, the commentary was kind of off for me.
Yeah, yeah. The commentary was Shivani, Tanae,
Whoa,
and
whoa, 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 Mike. Iron Mike today.
oh yeah, that's right. They're still calling him Iron Mike Tanae,
Well, not
huh?
anymore. They weren't called, but for me, he's still Iron Mike today. Uh,
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan was off at
Oh
this
yeah,
point.
Bobby Heenan. Yeah, yeah.
As much as we love Bobby Heenan, may God rest his soul. May God bless his soul, if you will. But still, to me, at this point, the stage of the game, like he was out of it.
Yeah, it seemed like he had a lot of disinterest. You can
Yeah,
hear it in his voice.
you definitely can. You could tell 100%. Moving on, we had Chris Benoit, and Dean Malenko, who were members of the Horsemen, to take on the team of Raven and Perry Saturn. This was supposed to be originally for the tag team titles. Originally,
Mm-hmm.
on an episode
Okay.
of Nitro, you had who were the champs then. You had Malenko and Benoit, who were the champions, right? Were the champion. They did have a match with Raven and Perry Saturn to end in disqualification. And then I guess on a following episode of Nitro or a paper, what have you, you had Malenko and Benoit versus the team of Rey Mysterio Jr. and Billy Kidman. And they had the match where again Saturn and Raven got involved, and they cost Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko the titles. Hence why Mysterio and Kidman won the titles. And we had the match now for what it was worth. Not,
Right.
and I gotta say, this was probably for me the best match on the show, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was.
It really, really was. If there's any match on this show to go back to, go out of the way to watch, is this one right here. What surprised me was that they were getting booed.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
They were getting booed. Horseman, you hear the commentary. Horseman sucks. Horseman sucks.
Yeah, it's weird that, Benoit and Malenko,
And by the way,
Malenko.
before we go any further, the faction that was Kidman and Mysterio going up with the Filthy Animals. Just before people, you're not calling them by the right name. It's the Filthy Animals, okay? That was the name of the faction, the Filthy Animals. Let's continue. But to me, what are you saying, man? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
Yeah, I was just saying it was weird, Malenko and Benoit were horsemen. They were the most reserved personality type guys on the mic. Horsemen are more out there personality wise.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I feel like, again, they really weren't known for their personality. When you think of the Horsemen, you think of guys that stood out. Not just for their in-ring ability, not just for their promo work, but for their personalities, their auras about them, right?
Right.
And again, Malenko and Benoit, as talented as they were, they didn't suit that bill.
Right.
They didn't. For no. But this, honestly, I enjoyed the shit out of this match. I really, really did. Good tag team wrestling from all four guys. Like you forget how great Perry Saturn was. Granted, if you watched the Starrcade review, in Starrcade '97, Perry Saturn faced Chris Benoit. 2 years later, they're again on a pay-per-view. They're facing each other again in some capacity with Raven as well. And again, just amazing stuff. You forget also how amazing Raven was. Even back then, the story that, Raven, and again, in WCW, he was this rich kid, right? He had rich parents and shit. And he's like, money doesn't make me happy. He was this outcast almost, right? And again, this match was literally everywhere. Even Arn Anderson got involved, and he took a bump. Just literally all over the place. Seriously.
Right.
And again, you forget how amazing Benoit was as well, considering what happened.
That ending though.
The chops that they were giving each other and shit. The German suplex that Benoit I think gave Raven. I think it was
Yeah.
Raven. The ending where, oh my god, Malenko had, I think it was Saturn in the cloverleaf, and Raven got, Perry Saturn got on the ropes, and I got a reaction. Even stuff like that got a reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
Which was amazing to think. That was 20 years ago or so.
Yeah, simpler stuff.
Exactly. Like sometimes I think it's important to realize that, yes, we appreciate today's in-ring work. All the fuck you want. But sometimes less is good.
Yeah, less is more.
Less is more, if you will. Less is good, less is more. You kind of get the gist, okay? And then we get to the ending of the match.
Right.
You get to the ending of the fucking match. Fucking hell, dude. Yes, it was Perry Saturn got pinned, right? So, before that, though, so Malenko has the cloverleaf locked in. Arn Anderson puts a steel chair on top of Saturn's head, I believe it was, or maybe Raven, one or the other. Okay? He puts the chair on top of their head. Benoit does a diving headbutt. And when you see the spot, yes, it was great all the fuck you want, but it's like, bro, if you only knew. If you could only tell Benoit back then, like, bruh, if you only know what's going to happen to you. It's cringe.
Yeah.
It's cringe because they see him bleeding and shit. But they win the match. It was 15 minutes, 37 seconds. My bad. It was 14 minutes, 11 seconds. Very good stuff here. Very good fucking stuff.
Yeah, really, really good stuff.
By both teams here and all that stuff. Moving on. We had Scott Steiner versus Booker T for the vacant WCW US Championship. Scott Hall was the champion, and apparently he didn't make it to the show, or I don't know what was going on. So then President WCW, the President of WCW on television, Ric Flair, who's also the world champion, decided to strip Mr. Hall from the championship and make a tournament where Jericho apparently competed twice after being eliminated. But here he was. But then we got to find, we have Scott Steiner and Booker T. And it's amazing to think how amazing shape Scott Steiner was 20 years ago.
Right.
This guy was a specimen. Like, if you think about this, right? We talked about this in our Starrcade 97 review, where we were seeing the beginning stages of Big Papa Pump in Scott Steiner. He got big, right? Remember that 6-person tag, right?
Right.
Like, his arms were getting bigger. He was starting to grow off the goatee, if you will. This is pre him dyeing his hair blonde and cutting it short. Here is like he finally evolved. Like, holy shit, if you will, right?
Yeah, final form.
His final form, yeah, here you go. This is before the Tiger. Before the Tiger entrance and shit like that. And then, and then you look at Scott Steiner now and you see him wrestle on these indie shows. It's so cringe. Like, bro, remember who you were, if you will, right? And again, I can appreciate the legends. I can appreciate the legends that were a thing at one time, right? Thank you for paving the way. Thank you for giving me so many memories. But when I see, again, these old-timers wrestle at indie shows and they're not what they used to be, it's like, bro, it's cringe.
Right, yeah, it is.
Like seeing Scott Steiner cut a promo, right? Talking about his freaks and being the hookup and holla if you hear me and stuff like that today in front of a crowd of 50 people or less. It's cringeworthy, bro. It's cringeworthy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That being said, this match overall, what are you talking about this match, Mike, by the way?
I thought the match was okay. It's good to see, a young Booker T without the dreads do his thing. It was pretty cool. I guess this was like the start of his singles run around this time, Booker T.
I guess so, yeah. Really, really was. When you think about it, right? Yeah, absolutely. Good back and forth. For me, I thought overall it was a good match. Again, just the fact that how amazing Scott Steiner was back then, as far as the physique level is concerned. He was heckling the crowd, too. at the beginning portion of the match.
The one takeaway I got out of that was he was in front of this couple, and the lady just kept screaming and touching Scott Steiner's chest.
Yep.
It was annoying.
He's like, yes, look at your woman touching a real man, shit like that. Like, it's
Right.
like now, and you look at him now. He still tries to do that. He still tries to do that now. It's like, bro, is that it, bro? It ain't it. But this match was it for what it was worth. This match ended with apparently Scott Steiner, with help of a weapon that he hit Booker T with, I think on the stomach or on the face.
Yeah.
To pick up the win and become the new WCW United States Champion at 15 minutes and 37 seconds.
Yeah, he was a part of the Wolfpack too.
Part of the Wolfpack, absolutely, man. You gotta think about this too.
Wolfpack movie.
Gotta think about this too. A lot of these got a lot of them. There was at a time where the NWO just became oversaturated with just random people. Kalo, the Disco Inferno, was in the fucking Wolfpack. Within the NWO. Remember, this was after the Finger Poke of Doom. So no longer were there a black and the white or the red and the black. It was just all one fucking family, if you will. So there you go with that. We then get the co-main event of the night. We get Goldberg versus Kevin Nash in a singles match. Now, granted, listen, last week in our Starrcade 97 review, we talked about how much of a terrible match Goldberg and Stephen McMichael had, right? How terrible that was. Mike, what are your thoughts on this match of Goldberg and Kevin Nash? Was it still like to say Goldberg was still trash, or was this match a little better for your liking?
It was better, but that's not saying much. You know, this was. I just didn't care for this match at all. I just don't care for Goldberg matches like that no more.
Even his old stuff from like back in the day.
Even his old stuff. The only thing I get a kick out of for Goldberg is his entrance, and then after that, I can care less.
Fair enough. I think again, I'll say this too. To his credit, yes, there was involvement of Lex Luger, by the way, in this match, right? For whatever reason there was. But what I got from this too, yes, this was at a time where Goldberg was lifting up giants like it was nothing.
Right.
Like he hit Kevin Nash with the jackhammer.
Yeah, this was strongman Goldberg. He could actually lift somebody. Now he can't lift. He couldn't even lift his kid if he could.
Hey, imagine that, bro. Can you imagine if he can't even lift up his kid? That's cold-blooded, Mike.
I mean, he struggled. Remember when he came back and his kid took his shirt off on Raw and he struggled picking him up?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That should have been red flags right there.
Damn, bro. Could have lifted up his kid, yo. That's cringe. So there was that. I mean, Goldberg got the win. I believe at this time Goldberg was already WCW World Champion. The undefeated streak was over. So there was that. Goldberg won. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Right. Got his win back when it didn't mean nothing.
Exactly. And then we get to the main event, Mike. We get to the main event of the evening. Four corners match for the WCW Heavyweight Championship. My only knock here, there was no Michael Buffer.
All right.
You had.
I can afford it.
They couldn't even afford him that. I mean, they probably could have. Still, it's like, you know. They had Dave Pinzer, which was not bad. I mean, Dave Pinzer. Again, to me, I put him up there, but again, he's okay for what he's worth. Okay, David Pinzer, by the way. This match, dude. Macho Man Randy Savage was the referee. But this was not the Macho Man that we all grew up. This was Macho Man. Ugh. He was already retired. Excuse me there.
Bless you.
Thank you. This was already retired Macho Man, if you will. It looked like, from me at least, right? Like old man Macho.
Yeah, this was a rap album Macho.
Rap album. There you go. Rap album Macho. Be a man, Hulk. Be a man. Yeah. with Gorgeous George. He was the referee for this match. Again, Hollywood Hogan, Sting, Diamond Dallas Page, and champion Nature Boy Ric Flair. Say hello to the old guys, bro. Say hello to the old guys.
Yeah, I noticed that. This was an old guy match.
Yeah, Sting, Hogan. By default, DDP with the younger guy in the match, but that's not really saying much either.
What was he, like 40 something?
I think he was, but he started training at 30, so you gotta believe he was up there, about to push 40 or something. Probably in his mid. Again, he was up there. He was already going up there in age.
Right.
This match went to shit the moment Hogan, I guess, broke his leg in the match.
Yeah.
Ric Flair locked in the figure four, and then after that, he gets locked in a figure four around the turnbuckle.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've seen Charlotte do this shit multiple times, like on in today's wrestling and shit to the women.
Right.
And you see Hogan then being helped to the back. Bischoff comes out and shit. There was concern. And I think from there, like if you watch the match, right, when Hogan left, DDP has his look like, well, now what the fuck do we do?
Right. Do you think he was the original plan of being the world champion?
I think
the
yes.
outcome?
I think that was the plan. But I think though, once Hogan got hurt, a big chunk of the match went to shit. Granted, the match really, honestly, was not my cup of tea. It was a giant clusterfuck. And I know it comes off like we're knocking this entire show, but no, we're not. Again, the show, like I said before, was a mixed bag. It had everything.
Yeah.
But I felt like even then, like, you know, the idea of putting Hogan in a fatal four-way, right? Think of the name that you had in this match. You had Hollywood Hogan, Ric Flair, hell, even Sting, right? Depending on how people view Sting at that time, right?
Right.
In a multi-person match. There's some guys that do not suit a multi-person match.
Yeah.
Those three men that I mentioned fall into that category.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a huge negative in their I guess match types. You know, multi-man matches for these guys were their negatives.
Yeah. It looked like fucking Flair was gonna win. He locked in the figure four on Sting, right? I guess Sting rolled over to the rope, and then I think for whatever reason Savage pulls Flair to like the middle of the ring and hits the elbow drop, the flying elbow. Which again, even at that age, even at the way he looked then, right? Even when he was macho, my bad, rap album Macho Man, right? Rapper Savage. The elbow still looked nice. That move still looked fucking beautiful, right? Kyrie saying take notes.
Well, I like her elbow too.
Yeah, I like her too. I'm just trolling right now. At this point, I'm just trolling, right? Trying to piss off today's fans. How dare you say that, Steve? How dare you guys say that shit, right?
Yeah.
And it hits Ric Flair, and then 2 minutes later, DDP hits the Diamond Cutter on Ric Flair and pins him for the 1-2-3. And Diamond Dallas Page, for the first time in his career, becomes the WCW World Champion.
Yeah, that must have been a great feeling for him, you know.
Exactly.
Like you said before.
It did, yeah, absolutely. You go back to the Hall of Fame when he got inducted, right? He talked about how his plan when he was in WCW, on 5 years, watch me Dusty become the world champion. He did it in 3. So it seemed like. So there was that. He had his moment, but at the same time, it just felt like if you're going to have him become a champion, there could have been better ways to do it. In my opinion. But there was that. Like you see him celebrating with the belt, right? Like he's holding the big gold up, and then they just turn off the show. They just end the show right there. There's no credits. There's no nothing. Hell, not even pyro. Not even like.
Yeah, I noticed that too. There was no like big celebration for him. That was his first.
And granted, I think even then, I don't think WCW looked at DDP in that light, if you will. It was a matter
Yeah.
of, okay, we just got to crown a new guy to be champion. So here you go. That's the vibe I
Yeah,
got out of it.
but when you think of WCW, man, you think of Sting, DDP, Ric Flair. You know, you think of those guys.
And today, if you go back in time, but I guarantee you in that period, in 1999, I don't think, you put DDP in that category. When you think of WCW then, yeah, think of Hogan and you think of Sting and Flair. People viewed Hogan, oh, he's the WWE guy, but he became Hollywood Hogan, right? He fucking
All
revived
right.
his career. DDP again was the guy that he has won the belt. All the other guys already held the big gold. It was like, fuck it, let's just put the belt on. That's how it came off for me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's how it came off for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that.
And in fact, they're in the referee, Randy Savage, who had feuds with all the guys that are in the match.
All
History,
right.
if you will, right? He had history with every single person, right? With Hogan, right? With the leg drop at Bash of the Beach, um, fucking Ric Flair, if you will, from
Mm-hmm.
the time in WWF, WWE, part of the WCW with Elizabeth and all that stuff. Sting, because Sting. Yeah, I mean, with Sting, there was a few there as well, right? In the mid '90s, if you will, and then DDP. So he had history with everyone. But nonetheless, again, when I look back at the show, for a lot of people, yeah, this was WCW's best pay per view, like their last one, their last good pay per view before WCW went to shit, right? Hence why when you look at
Yeah.
their slogan, it's the good, the bad, the showdown. That was their slogan for this.
Yeah, and I guess it matched perfectly. I guess.
I guess it really did. But that's our take overall. I'll give the show out of 10. I'll give this a 7.5. Like, what about you?
I'm gonna give it a half point lower than that. I'm gonna give it a 7.
You give it a 7. Okay, 7.5 for me, 7 for you. What about you guys that are listening right now? That are listening on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcasting platform where you can listen to Around the Point, whether that's Apple Podcasts, whether that's Stitcher Radio, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, or if you're over at okfabe.com, let us know your thoughts on Spring Stampede 1999. And I'm not gonna lie to you, if you look at the WCW pay-per-views from back in the day, all these pay-per-views from WCW, some of the names were creative as shit. Spring Stampede, Slamboree, Fall Brawl, right?
Wild Hog.
Wild Hall. A lot of creative names that apparently AEW does have the rights to now. Not all of them, but a good portion of them.
Yeah,
I,
and it's I think it's sad that they only use some of them for just TV specials like Bash of the Beach.
I know. I know. But, anywho, again, before we put a bow on this, anything, Mike, you want to say? We put a bow on this shit.
Um, I thought it was okay pay per view. This is their last great pay per view. Then, hey, I guess that's not really saying much. But I thought it was okay. But we all know what happened after that. But I thought it
Yeah.
was decent.
Yeah, overall. Again, it's maybe the fact that we've gone back in time. I guarantee you, if this was us in 1998, we would have thought this show was amazing. You know what I mean? This is why
Yeah,
sometimes I feel like it's always good to go back in time, just to get another perspective of what you saw maybe back then and see if the reaction is still there. You know what I mean? So there's that.
right. Right.
Anyway, guys, we thank all of you for tuning in. You guys have been awesome as always. All right, join us back next week as we recap WWE SummerSlam 2002 here on the Throwback. And again, you guys have been awesome as always. You can follow me on Twitter at HeelSteven. Big Mike, let them know where can they check you out, bro.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Big Mike WRS on Twitter and on YouTube at Big Mike's Wrestling Recap Show.
And if you are not yet, guys, hit the subscribe button on the channel. Hit the subscribe button on my channel, which you're on right now if you're listening on YouTube, or on Big Mike's channel, because again, guys, important. It does help out the channels. It does help out the show and all that fun stuff. All right, hit the bell icon. Be notified when I upload a video, when I go live. Hell, even on Mike's channel, when Mike uploads a video here and there, hit the bell icon. Be notified. All right. That being said, guys, we're gonna head out. It's up for us here, and thank you all for listening. And this has been another installment of The Throwback. Peace out, y'all.